Shift S and bring the cursor on top of the shelf, then Shift A to add a circle, E to extrude up, and S to scale. Ctrl R to add a loop cut in the middle. Ctrl Q to add subdivision. Select the top and bottom faces. I to intrude. Then Shift A again to add a UV sphere. Change the segments to 16 and rings to 8. Then S to scale down and use the Z arrow to move it up. Once done, right-click and shade smooth. Select a face on the wall, Shift D to duplicate and P to separate selection. Then right-click and set origin to geometry, S to scale down and SZ to scale the Z-axis. Then E to extrude. Go back to Object Mode, Ctrl A to apply the scale. Then in Edit Mode, I to intrude and E to extrude. A to select everything and increase the mean bevel weight to 1. Now duplicate the blank part. Shift S and bring the cursor to selected, then Shift A and add a blend. Scaling and extruding to create the shape of a leaf. Once done, Ctrl Q to add subdivision. Then Ctrl R to add a loop cut. Ctrl B to bevel it out. Scroll the mouse wheel until you see 3 lines. Then select the middle lines and use the Z arrow to bring it down. Use proportional editing to form the curved shape of the leaf. A to select everything and E to extrude up. In Edit Mode, press 3 for Faces selection, select these faces and extrude out. Modify the shape and scale down until we have a square. Then Ctrl right-click to create a stem. Right-click and shade smooth. Then bring the cursor to the end of the stem. Right-click and set origin to 3D cursor. Now duplicate the leaf and fill in the blank part. Shift D to duplicate another blank part, then bring it on top of the shelf. Shift S and bring the cursor to selected. Shift A under curve, select path. S to scale it down, then R Y 90 to rotate 90 degrees on the y-axis. Moving the vertices around to create the stem of the trailing plant. Once done, under curve property, set a low resolution and set the depth to 0.04. Then select all the stems. Go to Edit Mode, select all the end vertices. Alternate S to side down. Right-click and convert to Mesh. Go to Particle Properties, add a new particle system. Select Hair. Under Render, select Render as Object. Then use the Selection tool and select the leaf that we created earlier. Now we can see that we have leaves on the stems, but they are a little bit small, so let's scale it up. Check the Advanced box to see the rotation setting. Under rotation, let's change the orientation axis. You can experiment with this to see what works for you. I will go with object X and increase the randomized value and also randomized phase. Next, let's copy the modifier to the other stems. Just play around with the setting until you find something that you like. Once done, set parent object, shade smooth, and change the name. To create the text neon light, shift right-click to bring the cursor to the left wall, then shift A and select text. Use R to rotate and S to scale down. Then go to Edit mode by pressing Tab on your keyboard and edit the text. I will change it to Sweet Trim. Go to Text Properties. Under Font, select the font that you want to have. Here we have a lot of settings so you can play around with. In this case, I will change the word spacing to around 2.2, and under shape, I will change the fill mode to none and depth around 0.014. We will be also making a string of lines above the desk. Select a line on the right wall and then Shift D to duplicate and P to separate selection. S to scale down. Then go to Edit mode, right-click and select Subdivide. Change the number of cuts to 3. Select these two vertices and bring down. Remove all the modifiers. Go back to Object mode, Ctrl A to apply scale. Then select 3 middle vertices. Shift Ctrl B to bevel them out. Right-click and convert to curve. In the curve properties, set resolution to 2 and depth to 0.015. Then convert back to mesh. Select the two end loops, press F to fill, Ctrl R to add loop cuts, right-click and shade smooth, and Ctrl Q to add subdivision modifier. Bring the cursor to the end of the string. Shift A to add a cylinder. Then rotate 90 degrees on the x-axis and S to scale down. Ctrl R to add a loop cut and bring it toward the front. Alternate left click to select this outer loop, and alternate E to extrude faces along normals. Ctrl Q to add subdivision modifier and Ctrl R to add loop cut to define the shape. Add a mirror modifier. Use the selection tool to select the string. Finally, bring the cursor to the middle of the string, then Shift A to add a UV sphere. Go to Edit Mode, 1 for vertices selection. Select the top vertex, X to dissolve. Then select the face, I to intrude and E to extrude up. Ctrl Q to add subdivision and use loop cut to define the shape. Right-click to shade smooth, then make adjustment if needed. Once done, duplicate the bob and place it along the string. Let's turn on viewport shading. I have talked about lighting setup in my previous videos, but basically I will normally set 2 large area lights in front of the model, 1 from the top down and 2 rim lines at the back. You can also change the color to set the mood of the scene. In this model, I will also place another point light inside the lamp. Now the most fun part is the coloring. To add a color to an object, go to Material Properties, then add a new material. Because this is a beginner tutorial, I will not go into depth about the material. We can just use the base color and it already gives a nice result. To add a second color to an object, select the part where you want the second color to be, then choose the plus sign and assign the color to that part. There are some useful settings that you can play around with: metallic, roughness, and emission. Emission you can use for the neon light or the light pop. To add an image to the picture frame, you can select the dot next to the base color, select Image Texture, and open your preferred image. I don't want to limit you on what you can do. You can follow along with me in my video, or you can choose any color that you like. I think the most important thing is to have fun. From my kitchen tutorial, I've always amazed at how stunning your works are. So I'm very excited to see what you all came up with this time. Finally, create a background and set the sample number for rendering. It will depend on how strong your GPU is, but if you are only able to use more samples, then I recommend to turn on the denoise option. Here I only use 500 samples and I turn the noise on, and I think the result is great. Once done, select render and render image or hit F12 on your keyboard. Now we only need to wait for the image to be rendered. So this is the end of part 3. Thank you so much for following along this tutorial series. I hope that you have fun and learn some useful things. I wish you all the best and I will see you in the next video. Bye.